So in case you don't know, my name is Janessa. And I'm going to just jump into a story of me a couple months back. So a couple months back, I was in a place of feeling so confident for what God had for me and just stepping out in faith and being ready to serve the Lord. And then it came time where I actually had to step out, and I realized I didn't think that I could do it. I was really lacking confidence, and I did not feel ready to serve the Lord. During this time, I was going through a reading plan in the Bible like I usually do, and I was reading in the Old Testament, which at that time I had not particularly enjoyed doing, and I came across Exodus 3. And in Exodus 3, we see Moses. Moses has a lot of excuses, just like myself, as to why he couldn't serve the Lord. And I am just going to jump into some of those excuses and show how God can combat our excuses just as he did for Moses. So jumping right into Exodus 3, we see Moses' first excuse. And for some context, this is God telling Moses to go to Pharaoh and to basically show him who he is and tell him to let the people go. So Moses' first excuse when God told him to do this is, you have the wrong person. In Exodus 3:11, it says, "But Moses asked God, 'Who am I that I should go to Pharaoh, that I should bring the Israelites out of Egypt?'" He says, "Who am I?" Moses probably thought he wasn't good enough, he wasn't holy enough, he wasn't just enough to do this job. But then we see God's reply in the next verse. We see God say, "I will be with you." Verse 12, he answered, "I will certainly be with you, and this will be a sign to you that I am the one who sent you. When you bring the people out of Egypt, you will all worship God at this mountain." God says, "I will be with you." He's not telling Moses to just go do it by himself. He's not saying, "Here you go, Moses. This is what I want you to do, but see you bye. I'm not going to be there." No, God says, "I'm going to be there right with you." And all that matters is that God will be with you. That's what God is telling Moses. And Moses has a few excuses, and we're going to jump into the next. Moses says, "I am not ready, and I don't know what to say." Verse 3:13, Moses says, "Then Moses asked God, 'If I go to the Israelites and say to them, 'The God of your ancestors has sent me to you,' and they ask me, 'What is his name?' what should I tell them?" He doesn't know what to say. I feel like a lot of times this is a really big excuse we all find ourselves saying. I don't know what to say. And that's a perfectly valid excuse. But we always have God, and that's what God says to Moses. Moses says, God replied to Moses, "I am who I am. This is what you are to say to the Israelites. I am has sent me to you." God gives him the perfect thing to say. He says, "It's okay that you don't know what to say. It's okay that you're not ready. I will tell you exactly what to say." And God reassures Moses, as he has already done twice, and Moses still gives another excuse. And Moses' excuse is, "I might fail." So we're going to jump to chapter 4, verse 1. Moses says, "What if they don't believe me and will not obey me, but say, 'The Lord did not appear to you'?" I think we all have a huge fear of failure. That's what one of Moses' biggest fears was. I might fail. What if they don't believe me? But God says, "Show them my power." Chapter 4, verses 2 through 9. It's kind of a chunk, but I'm going to read it to you guys. It says, "But the Lord asked him, 'What is in your hand?' 'A staff,' he replied. 'Throw it on the ground,' he said. So Moses threw it on the ground, and it became a snake, and he ran from it. The Lord told Moses, 'Stretch out your hand and grab it by the tail.' So he stretched out his hand and caught it, and it became a staff in his hand. 'This will take place,' he continued, 'so that they will believe that the Lord, the God of your ancestors, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob, has appeared to you.' In addition, the Lord said to him, Put your hand inside your cloak. So he put his hand inside his cloak, and when he took it out, his hand was diseased, resembling snow. Put your hand back inside your cloak, he said. So he put his hand back inside his cloak, and when he took it out, it had become like the rest of his skin. If they will not believe you and will not respond to the evidence of the first sign, they may believe the evidence of the second sign. And if they don't believe those two signs or listen to what you say, take water from the Nile and pour it on the ground. So we see these big signs that God gives Moses. And these seem like crazy signs. Who could not believe that God really sent Moses? And the most amazing thing about these signs is this. Moses used what he had on him. God uses Moses with what he already has. He doesn't tell Moses that you need to go out and you need to find all these things and get all these things that you don't have yet. He uses Moses exactly where he is. God wants to use you exactly where you are. He wants to use you with exactly what you already have. This reassurance God gives Moses seems like really big. He gives him these miraculous signs. And guess what, you guys? Moses still has another excuse. Moses says, I do not have the skills. Chapter 4, verse 12. Now go, I will help you speak and I will teach you what to say. So Moses is slow of speech. This is God's reassurance. Moses is slow of speech, he stutters, he can't speak. And God says, I'll tell you exactly what to say. This is similar to the other excuse, but here Moses is again, giving it again. And then I wanted to point out that even in Moses' weakness, even in our weakness, God can use that to show his strength. 2 Corinthians 12:9 says that God's strength is made perfect in our weakness. Our weakness makes it shows that God is great and his strength is greater than anything that we could ever do. If we could do it by ourselves, why would we need God? And that's exactly why I wanted to point out the weakness. It makes us even more valuable that we have our weaknesses because God wants to use that to change people's lives and to show his power. Again, Moses reassures God, and again, Moses gives this last excuse. Can't someone else just do it? In chapter 4, verse 13, Moses asks, Lord, please send someone else. It's so easy to think that there's someone better, that there's someone more equipped for the job that God is calling us to do. I know for myself, I have felt that so many times. Like there has to be someone better than me. There has to be someone more equipped, more skilled, and more useful to God. But God uses us, however unequipped we find ourselves, to demonstrate his power, as I said before. God uses us in our weakness, in all of our imperfection, and he shows his power, he shows his love, he shows that he can use anybody. Not just those that are perfect, not just those who have all the skills. He can use anyone. So eventually, after, as you can see, a lot of convincing, Moses decides that he's going to listen to God. It might not have been exactly how God had intended it to be originally. God intended for Moses to go and say this to Pharaoh. But he ends up sending his brother Aaron in place to speak for him. But he still does it. Was what God asked Moses to do easy? Absolutely not. Was God faithful in his promise to be there? Absolutely. I think in the Bible we often see a pattern of a call or a vision and then a struggle to get there. There's always that struggle, but the promise is always fulfilled. You never see the promise unfinished. You never see God back away. He's always there. For me, I think of when the Israelites were at Jericho and they had to march around the walls. The walls did fall down eventually, but that wasn't easy. They had to keep marching and marching and marching, and they had to do that hard thing to see that promise of the walls falling down fulfilled. I think we hear Moses say, "What if?" a lot. What if I fail? What if I'm not good enough? What if they don't believe me? I think we all say what if a lot. We say what if to every single thing God is calling us to do. We say what if to every single thing that a youth leader is asking us to do. But I challenge you to think of that opposite what if. What if God is there and follows through? What if he stays faithful to his promise? And with God, there isn't a what if. He will stay faithful to his promise. He will show up. That you can be sure of. Joshua 21:45 says that every promise that God made to Israel was fulfilled. There's no reason and no evidence to believe that he won't keep fulfilling those promises. He's ready to fulfill the promises in your life, but you have to keep stepping out. You have to keep saying yes to God. There's so many reasons. I know that anybody can come up with any reason why they can't do something, why they're not good enough to do what God's asking them. But you have to think of the promises. God is promising you. There's nothing standing in your way but yourself. I challenge you to think of areas in your life where you guys are saying, what if? What excuses are you giving to God? What excuses are you giving to church leaders asking you to step out? I challenge you to give those to God and remember the promises that he has for you. That's about all I have.